Guess we continue to wait then.
Okay, anything else we go through? No? And you know, John told me, it's like 2 months out on the furnace.
So now you're gonna order.
Yeah.
And, I didn't get the second quote, but I got the first quote from just replacing parts. John said he couldn't just replace the parts. This gentleman here says he can replace the part and it's like a week and a half, 2 weeks out. $10,000 for the part, $17,000 to replace, $17,900 to replace it with John. What I haven't seen yet is
How old is the furnace? It's there.
50 years old.
How much more efficient is it gonna be by,
Just replacing that one part, that's right, he said.
But how much, I mean, if you went to
Yeah.
17 and how much more efficient was it gonna be?
Yeah.
yeah. So is the furnace gonna be more efficient if we
Get a new
replace it?
updated one,
Yeah,
I'm assuming. But the, Fred's will send me a second one with the whole furnace being replaced. Last time I talked to him, he said it's maybe around 20. So I haven't seen the official one yet, cause for some reason I got missed on that email. Either that or I missed the email. Yeah, this is just the replacement of the part. That's $9,687. I think. I have John's.
That's steam or hot water?
Steam. This is the one I had passed out before, this was John's, 17,711.
You said you had 2 Fred quotes?
He was supposed to send us a second for replacing the whole thing, so that's what he's gone to look for, cause I didn't get the email this time either. The tear down and removal of existing steam boiler, and I told him we were having a meeting tonight, and I talked to him last Thursday, so he said he was gonna try to get to me before tonight, and we got it.
Sorry
you
about
get
that,
this-
had some
Did
technical
you get the third
difficulties.
one?
Yes, that's why I was.
The second one from Fred, so can't pull it up on my email, so.
There's, we wanna pass them around. I just
Perfect.
did one because I was having technical difficulties.
Oh, this was John's, okay. So we just had one, I had to see that, actually I need one back. Here's the one from there,
Oh, you approved the meeting minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I jotted it down.
Thank you.
What was the one for Fred's for replacing the whole thing? Did you take a second look at it?
23.
23.
23? Okay.
23 for the whole thing.
This is replacing the burner parts, the piping, the valves, material to complete it, the tear down and removal of the existing, I'm not sure what Fred says. Fire adjustment necessary, fuel pipes, service burner, refill system, existing oil burner reconnected, existing oil burner reconnected. Replace boiler controls and reinstall.
That was from Mercy's, right?
Yeah. What is your recommendation, Sharon?
I don't know, Mercy's.
I agree.
I'll make that motion then, unless you have something that you wanna add.
Now Fred's second one, I haven't looked at the second one yet for the replacement of the
It
furnace.
was like 24,000.
Yeah, but what was it replacing for parts? Was it all the parts or just the boiler itself?
The boiler knock, the feeder, pressure system, sounds like it's the whole thing.
Is the whole thing too?
Again, my only concern is they're spending this money on something that, I mean, they say the price of fuel oil is gonna skyrocket and
Well, they won't do wood chips, they won't do pellets, we could go to propane, but where are we gonna put the tank?
that's a fossil fuel, I mean, that's gonna go up.
So the wood chips and all that, we'd have to do the whole building. We can't just do the fuel, we have to do the whole building. That means upstairs, downstairs, a really big building.
How about heat pumps?
Heat pumps, we'd have to have so many of them up there, it'd be ridiculous.
Well, at this point, you don't even use the upstairs.
Yeah, but why set it up to where it's not gonna be able to be used,
Well, yeah, you still have to put enough heat up there to,
to keep it?
Yeah.
You still have to, if you don't, then you'd have to remove all the radiators, all the bathrooms, shut all the water to everything off.
My concern is just spending all this money on a new furnace, then we're not gonna be able to afford the fuel to run it.
The solar panels on the roof,
But
But you still would have to go through the whole building to remove all the piping or somehow have it piped into it, because solar panels aren't gonna go steam, wood pellets aren't gonna go steam, and neither are the wood chips. I've talked to 3 places, one in Burlington, which won't even come up this way, they said, for what it is, because there's no way we'd have to replace everything. Which we could, but I don't have that kind of money in the budget, and we have to have heat for this winter, coming fast.
We come pretty much to, we need to do something because.
Now, yeah.
where,
And I called over to where you had sent a call, and then they referred me to a gentleman that lives in Fairfax, cause he's the one that would do it. And he said, no, it wouldn't convert, we'd have to replace.
everything.
in looking at our budget, I mean, where were we coming up with the money? to
Probably out of this budget, out of this one, I have more than enough money over
Coming out of the
here.
budget for the town hall.
Budget for my town, for the town hall, the emergency building, and also the library have not gone to match yet. I got quite a bit left over.
I guess I'll still make the motion to go with Mercy's.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah,
1 opposed? 3 for it? Voted?
Yep.
Alright. Oops.
I'll call John tomorrow. So I'll call Fred to let them know we went with John's.
Alright, so we're at number 6, renewal of downtown village destination.
Yep, so this happens every 8 years, and a couple months ago I was notified that ours is going up in September for the Vermont renewal designation village center. And all it really requires for a renewal is a cover letter from us, which I already written up, so I can I'll give that to you guys, and then just approval from the select board at a meeting, which would be this one if you guys pursue it. And then having a letter from your regional planning commission supporting it, which I also already have. So I have everything done.
Okay.
It just needs, if you approve
Just
it,
need
great.
approval.
But I will pass everything around, like what I wrote up for the letter. They just wanted, in the cover letter that they wanted, they just wanted to hear like what's going on in the village center. They also asked for infrastructure, like water and sewer, so I had to put that in there. So that's pretty much all my letter is.
And the rest of the application is just what, like standard stuff?
Yep, so the village, this map would be included because it's our updated one. I worked with Emily Clough from NRPC to update it, so that's
Okay.
the most recent. Like I said, the cover letter, the letter of support from NRPC, and I think that's it. The last thing would be the minutes from the select board meeting for approval.
Okay.
I would make a motion.
Everyone's good with the letter?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Okay, discussion of rail trail extension project.
Give Michael a second.
Yeah.
He was active part of this.
Yep. So I think maybe the last meeting, Wally asked that we set up a meeting with Andy DeForge from, he's a project manager for the state and the project manager for our rail trail extension project, to kind of discuss our options moving forward with the plan. So Wally and I did have a meeting with him to discuss it. As I think everyone knows, as we've reported multiple times, we've had issues with acquiring easements from property owners. So we were looking at it, we've looked at different ways on how we could, maybe appeal to property owners. But we also have a timeline now because it's been going on for over 20 years. So we also inquired about what would canceling the project look like. And from what he said, we would have to send a letter to the state, I think to V-Trans, and it would be up to them to determine how much we would pay back, or not at all, or somewhere in between.
And then the federal part was unknown as well.
Yeah, because it's a mix of funds. There's like our local match, you have the state funds, and you have federal. So I think the federal and the state, I don't know if that was,
So, and
it would be determined.
we wouldn't have, so it's unclear, like, we wouldn't have to pay the state or federal piece, it'd just be our own contribution, is that what I understood, or no? Or we can pay on the hook for it, all of it?
Well, I mean, we're not gonna pay for our own contribution.
No, that's right, so it'd just be what's in the state.
Yes, but it would be up to them to decide how much it
And all
is.
the people, have they given anybody money for easements yet?
Yes,
So that means those people have to pay it all back to us?
no, I don't think so, I think that would,
The easements are already in place, right?
yeah, they're there for future. But he said he thought we would have a good case, considering the length of time, we can document our efforts to get the easements.
There's only 4 properties,
6, I think.
6, yeah.
6.
Especially since we, the NRPC was actively trying to help us.
Yep, the regional planning tried it for a few years.
So I guess, and he did offer to help us craft the letter too, correct?
Yeah, or review it.
You
Yeah.
review it and stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess it's up to the board, because like the reason we brought it up last time is we're at the point where we have to invest with a new engineering firm. What was it, 25 or 30,000?
25.
25.
Yeah.
So do we want to keep going deeper, or do we want to just decide?
Why can't we send the letter and find out what
What
we're
it's cost.
talking about for numbers, and then decide
Okay.
once we
We can
know.
try.
That's what I was wondering.
concrete
So-
numbers
so we
to
wanna-
work
Makes
with.
sense.
Find out beforehand, and,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Acquire.
I know what Linda used to say, $125,000 or something like that?
Yeah.
That we'd have to pay back if we didn't
Well,
acquire.
If he also said they have like 6 other projects that they have seen come through
Okay.
for letters. So it's not like
We're
it's
the
not a
only
unique
ones.
situation.
Yes,
We're not
okay.
the first one to.
No.
Okay.
But it is ultimately up to them to decide how much.
How
If
much,
that
okay.
if we go that route.
So you want to work at crafting that with?
Asking about the number.
Yeah,
What
ask
that-
Well, yeah,
about the-
just say,
we
I
want-
guess you could craft the letter that way. We're exploring getting out of it, but we want to know our financial obligations.
Right.
Should we decide to?
It's not a letter saying we're done. We just want to make sure
Yeah,
we have
Right.
find out
Should
all
we-
the numbers.
what the amount would be if we,
Decide
Yes,
not to
decide.
at this
At the
point.
same time, should we explain our efforts into?
Yes.
I think that will be in the letter.
Yeah,
Have you looked at eminent domain?
He said that's incredibly hard to do.
I wouldn't think it would be, in that the town already has a right of way underneath that road for the sewer line.
Yep.
So it's already doing its part for
Yeah.
upkeep of the road,
I mean,
et cetera.
Basically, I mean, you're right, and my understanding is I think we're something like 4 feet we're asking for, and then only permanently 2 feet extra right away
Yep.
over what's already there for the trail.
It's mostly for maintenance.
Yeah.
I
mean, I
think
guess-
we should just do the letters, start with that.
start and see what the price is gonna
Yeah,
be to it,
see what
yeah.
we're real, right now, we don't know what we're talking about. Let's get some real numbers and then,
Go off that.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's,
Alright, we've already approved minutes, update from the town administrator.
Um, so I got a handful of things.
Do you need me here?
No,
You don't?
you're all set now,
Okay,
you're good.
I'm sorry, I'm late. Oh, fine.
So first, I'll say the Community Facilities USDA grant that we're using for the new ambulance radios. I feel like we're winding down with that. I think the radios are installed. Correct me if
They're
I'm
all
wrong.
installed.
They are installed. I think if we're waiting for the last bill to be, why am I blanking on it?
Submitted?
Yes. And then after that's, like, once we submit that, I can follow up for reimbursement for the grant.
Okay.
And once that happens, I'm assuming that'll happen within the next couple weeks before the next meeting. And that's where, because I know at the beginning, when we applied for this grant initially, back in early 22, it was said to use ARPA money for it, to use some. After that, we can then determine how much would be needed at the next meeting, once we kind of go through the next couple weeks.
Okay.
So I just want to update you on that, because I know it's been a year and a half since we first applied for it. But now we're finally getting to that point of it's winding down. We did receive the small highway, I forgot what the title is, but it's HSIP is what I have written down, grant. This was the small $6,000 grant to clear out a right of way along the South Richford Road. So we did receive it. We're waiting for a grant agreement for that, and that's 100% funding from the state. There's no match requirement from us.
And on that project, we did turn, so it's not we made it more of a square approach to the South Richford Road. And it seems the feedback seems to be mixed. Some people think it makes a big difference, others saying they don't feel it does.
From one that's coming from up above, they have to pull out. I'm more apt to see them where before I'd meet cars and they just wing around the corner and.
So you think it's better?
Yeah,
And I think it'll be better once we remove a few of the trees, and it'll be even,
Yeah.
the view will be even better.
Next, the Municipal Energy Resilience Program applications are open. If you remember, Merlina from Northwest Regional Planning came one meeting and talked about the program, the grant.
Yep.
It's a $500,000 grant, no match, to go over municipal buildings that need energy improvements.
Would a furnace fit into that?
and how long out before we can get it?
Yeah, that'll be the next thing. Well,
Not
so
soon
I think
enough.
the way the application works is they have to come do assessments, and they have to identify the issues that they see from these assessments, and then from there that's where our grant application is based around. So I don't think we can just say, hey, we need a furnace.
Yeah.
I think they have to come in here and deem that as an issue
Okay.
before we could write the grant application for it. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because, like I said, it is open to start doing that.
Yeah.
With permission or approval, I guess.
Yes, please.
And you can do multiple buildings. I mean, I was thinking town hall, post office is 1 and 2, and I know the library wanted to be included on that as well as a building to do an assessment, because it starts with the assessment, then you write the grant for it based on their findings.
I'm sure your emergency service building could be assessed too, honestly.
Yep, I think we could put that on there. I think at that point, it really would depend on like what the order of we wanna, like what
Preference.
building need, yeah. But we can put all 4 of them on there, I think.
Yeah, this one needs a new heating system.
Yeah.
Huge.
But, like I said, it all comes down to what they find in their,
And
which they say it's more in depth than the efficiency of the ones, because I know I had that
yes,
twice.
yeah,
I've had them come through here. They said it's more in depth. They say it would take a couple
Does it do
hours.
abatements and stuff too? Does it cover any of that kind of stuff?
I don't think so. I think it's just like, strictly energy efficiency is the big portion of this grant. So, I mean, if you want me to apply,
Yes, I would make a motion for him to apply. Anybody else?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing
Free
none,
money,
motion passed.
not free, but you know what I mean. It's never free.
all right. Just reviewing, I had a handful. I did receive a letter, probably could have said this in the guest section, from a resident that wanted me to read this email that was sent today, because they were, it was the Sickles who came last meeting about concerns. They had, she told me they weren't gonna be here at this meeting, but they wanted to be. So she wanted me to read this letter out
Okay.
to the board to kind of update on what's going on with the policing of what they've seen. So I will read this off and we'll figure out what to do after. She says, "Hello, Michael. I am unable to attend the 8/7 Select Board meeting due to an appointment. However, we are still having issues with police responses to our issues, and I'm hoping you can read my email to the Select Board on our behalf. After the last Select Board meeting we attended, we did see a reduction of disturbances, but they have since started to increase. Today, 8/6, the people, I'm going to say people to keep it, vague. I don't want to say she gave the address and everything. I'm not going to say it. But she said there were people who had a car in their driveway and they were playing extremely loud music, and it was like very bassy. She said they didn't really seem like music, but it was loud vibrating bass, and sitting in their house, their windows were rattling and they're vibrating. And she said the vehicle was located some distance from their house, and she had videos of her ring picking up the sounds as well. She said she called the sheriff and they were not on duty, so then she called Vermont State Police. She said first they tried to say they wouldn't enforce anything until 10 o'clock, but I insisted they respond to me because this was extraordinary rather than normal loud music in the afternoon. And I've been told in the past that we do not need to wait until 10. She said my house was vibrating and the trooper did call me back. He stated that the state's attorney's office has told them not to enforce these ordinances because it's just music. I find this hard to believe and I don't accept this. First, I'm not asking them to arrest these people and I'm not sure they're the involvement of the state's attorney. Second, this is essentially saying the troopers won't come out to enforce our laws when we call, which leaves us without police resources when the sheriff is not on duty. I've already been told by VSP that they will not enforce our ATV ordinances, noise ordinances, or driving violations unless I get the make, model, and plate number and driver information. This leaves us feeling as if we are responsible for our own policing, that some people in our community can cause disturbances with impunity. They can violate our laws and ordinances without consequences, and we are left without recourse. We have a right to the quiet and peaceful enjoyment of our property inherent in our deed, and without proper policing resources available to us, we have been facing multiple and continuous disturbances to our peace. We are asking the Select Board for a redress as these disturbances are continuing without solution." Enough. I know Andy, when I was formulating the agenda, did ask me to have Lisa Hango come to the meeting to talk about policing, and I guess she would be more helpful for the Vermont State Police side of this.
Yes.
But she couldn't make it to the meeting, but she said she would try to make a following one sometime in September. She did send an email today with me and Andy on it, saying that who to contact with complaints to VSP. Maybe we can do something similar with what at the last meeting Sheriff Grismore talked about, like formulate a list and send it to them about like the places where we've heard complaints, and maybe that will help. But that's my 2 cents, maybe how to address it. Maybe we can just
Can we forward it to Lisa Hango?
Yeah.
The state police and even the sheriff's office, so they are all aware of it, and
Yeah, because I'm still working on that.
then I guess
Yeah.
the next question is for you, John. Is there, noise disturbance fall under zoning?
It would be the performance
Standards.
standards if it was over 70 decibels at the property line, which unfortunately 70 decibels is about somebody's normal
Talking.
talking at the, So,
If you're
So-
mowing your lawn, you're gonna be over.
right, but that's a,
Normal.
that's a
occurrence.
normal thing and doesn't last for a long,
Right.
long time, so that's exempt, but Yeah, but some-
Loud bassy music would fall under the abnormal.
yeah, especially if it went on for a long time, it's a disturbance.
And do
It's
you guys have a decibel meter as a zoning? So how would we report that?
There, we had, quite some time ago, a case that, was on the noise. And we did some investigating. It's on the property owner's responsibility to prove that they're not above the 70 decibels. And for them to do that, we found out, you're talking like $10,000 for them to get the professionals. There's very few people that do it, and for them to come out and do the testing of that. In the case that we had, we found that there was a formula, a basic formula that just gave you a general idea, and I believe it was that you had to be 200 feet away from the property line in order to keep it, and this was with a motorcycle or something, and that would do,
It's 200 feet.
yeah, from that, and they had like
It's
a
It's a
formula.
decibel meter, so basically, they're on your watches and phones now.
But, so when you say 200 feet, like, on a small property, you couldn't get 200 feet from the property line.
So,
Yeah,
that
we had
property we're
this
talking about,
particular-
it wasn't 200 feet.
This particular one
Yep.
was 399 feet, so they
Oh, that
didn't
one?
have the 200 to go on the thing, and so that's what we had
Yeah.
to go on. But
Did
you
they
said,
go over and talk to them? Did they go over and ask them to turn it down?
I just read the letter. I haven't
I would
talked to
suggest
them
that too.
and personally about this.
I mean, the police should be known for sure, but I would definitely, I would start with that for sure.
Well, and I think
If my neighbors being loud and noisy, I'd be going over and say, hey, can you turn it down? I'm trying to sleep, I got work in the morning, or I got. And most neighbors, once they realize how loud they are, they usually are courteous enough to turn it down. If they're not, then that's when you take that step.
I think given our, just the policing issue, I think it's worth
Oh, yeah,
continuing to forward that up to
Yeah.
the our representative and.
Any complaints that involve police should be going to the police itself and our representative, just so they know what we're dealing with.
So I guess to push that forward, you want me just to create that list
Yeah.
of what we've heard?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I mean, were you gonna talk about our meeting with Franklin County Industrial Development, or you want me to?
We can do that under other business,
Okay,
but I would bring up the park and ride and whether or not we want to,
I was
as a town, pay for,
gonna ask you if we wanted a meeting, but yeah.
pay for the archaeological study. Or basically is if we wanna expand it and make it, add some additional parking beyond what was originally scoped, it's gonna take an archaeological study, which was almost $8,000, that would not be covered by any grant and would come out of town pocket,
Or we go with
the existing.
like within their, it's kind of like, yeah, so I guess the context of this is the two, like, the park and ride has this, I guess, red line.
Yeah.
That the state said, like, we can't go outside these boundaries. If we do, then we have to have an archaeological study done, to make sure that nothing's being disturbed. And so at this point, the debate is, do you wanna get additional parking and go beyond, or do we keep it within the scope? And
How many
move forward?
parking places are you talking about?
I don't remember. That's why I was asking if we wanted to do
Well,
another.
the parking ride itself is not really, what was in the original scope is not that big, really.
No, the original, for the grant application, I would think I put down like 10 plus
Yeah.
parking spaces. And I think right now we're at 13, 14, something like that.
Why can't we just go with what we proposed originally? And then see if people use it first, before we spend money to make it any bigger?
Well, I think,
Let's find out if it's something that's gonna be utilized.
Well, I think part of the reason it was initially assessed is that water line, or the water line that runs from there up to Dunleavy's discharges on the back end. And it was to, be able to go into there, replace that and start working backwards, but even to go in to replace it and do some stonework and, you know, where it discharges to prevent erosion and all that, you know, so we're like, oh, if we're gonna go back to there, we might as well see if we can go back to here and, you know, increase the parking lot, cause it wasn't gonna cost us anything more. But, you know, now it looks like it would, but it would've been nice to be able to take care of,
The whole thing.
that discharge, you know, replace all that culvert underneath there through the parking ride, so if we do need to fix it later, we don't have to dig up the parking ride to do it. You know, cause we'll have already taken care of what's underneath there. So I think that was part of why we discussed expanding it, so we could, but it's a prime example of why I don't understand sometimes the state. There were buildings there in the past, all the way to the river. We had a temporary bridge across there. So I don't know what they're hoping to find in that space, you know, I mean, some Abenaki Indian artifact or something, but I mean, my thinking is if there was a building with, in a bridge there, any site, that site is well disturbed and probably not gonna, but we haven't, and we tried to convey that, but they don't seem to, they're not hearing what we're saying, or they don't care, they just want the $8,000, I don't, so it's been a little frustrating in that regard.
How much are we gonna gain if we did?
Where we get that whole drainage all fixed.
Well, and we built, you could probably, maybe upwards of double, you know, another 10 at least.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to spend the $8,000 anyway,
No,
regardless of,
no, that's above and beyond, that's just the archaeolog, for UVM to come and do like, if I was reading it correctly, like 1 meter square plots throughout that period, and dig down and sift and,
but we would have to do that anyway, just to fix that line?
no, that's just for permission to go out there and think about. Like, we can't go across that line.
So we can't fix that line without having this archaeological
Exactly.
study.
That's kinda what I'm thinking, right, Michael?
With the,
Yeah, we can't go out there and disturb anything, even though that cement line is already out there.
So does that line have to be replaced?
Well, it's the one that we've been replacing, cause it's cement and it's been crumbling up through there, so we figured, since we were gonna be right there and we'll
We've replaced it in the past.
well, remember up by
Ricky Hoy.
Hoy's, we replaced, what, 60, 70 feet of it because the cement's breaking and it's
Causing big holes.
big sinkholes.
There's a pipe this big,
Mhm.
so children, baby, anything, animals.
Knowing that whole pipe, you know, it's a, whatever pipe like this, a concrete, goes all the way down
I
there.
guess I'm not following, where is this archaeological study? I
Well,
mean,
you-
what
It's on
part
the
of
it's
it,
river.
only for that parking lot.
that parking lot?
Yes.
And it's, you know, there's
And
like,
does that line just in the parking lot need to be
Yeah.
replaced?
Other parts of it
I
probably.
think it was more like
eventually.
we're looking ahead.
cause knowing we're having to do it piecemeal, and if we could have the funding in place to do that section now, cause we budgeted that into the grant application to replace the piping under the culvert underneath there.
Underneath next to the parking ride?
Yeah.
Or do you wanna expand that?
Well, it's going through the entire parking ride, but we were gonna go out a little, where we wanna go out to where it discharges. It would need to be archaeologically studied, I guess.
'Cause
But we're
it's
thinking
everybody.
to replace that entire,
Well, that's what we hoped.
yeah.
We'll at least do what's underneath what's the approved, but we'd hope to do it all the way to
All the way
where,
through a solid.
so I guess that's the question, like, keep it the same and till we have to do it, I don't know.
I think I'd go the other way with that and do it now and get it done with,
Not have to dig it up later.
not to have to dig it all up later, well, if something happens, we have to dig back further and you just ruin stuff we've already worked on. And you know, people are not gonna just park here for the parking ride, they're gonna also park over in the other areas too.
They were-
And if there ends
yeah.
up being a sinkhole in that area and somebody hits it, they're sued, you know, it's like,
So-
so fix the problem, you know about it.
I'm kinda leaning towards we spend the money
Mhm.
that we need to now in order to fix something that's gonna prevent something in the future.
Yep. That would be my thought too.
Alright.
And it's money, we don't have a lot of it, but
Well, that's what I was gonna say, should we wait first? Before like confirming like that's a possibility.
Well, I mean, it's an infrastructure improvement project, I don't know, I mean, in theory, I mean, that's kind of what you'd wanna use ARPA money for. I mean, it's a park and ride, it's a town improvement, I guess, but, I mean, so I think, or we could figure out where to draw it, you know, there's some room in the budget elsewhere, I don't know, I mean, it's what, $7,700 and something dollars.
Yeah.
So, and it probably wouldn't be it wouldn't be payable till next year, so we could put it in the budget for next year.
I was gonna say, we don't have money in the budget for it this year, maybe we should revisit this
Well, no,
when
if-
we're doing the budget.
They wouldn't even,
next time.
according to the timeline, it wouldn't even be feasible till next year anyway, right?
Right.
So it could be
So we approve
budgeted
it
for next
now,
year.
right, and then we
Yeah.
budget it for next year, and that's when we'd have to pay
Are you
for it
talking,
next
so
year.
when they could get out here? to
Yeah.
Do it? I don't remember that part, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the timeline was into next summer. So I think we could budget it for next year. We just gotta, tell the people what we wanna do, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
So,
I'd make a motion,
to proceed with doing the study if
Yeah.
necessary.
yes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No,
One nay noted. Okay. You got anything else, Mike? Okay. Highway report.
They're crushing right now, the big pile over behind the village garage, which they've been stockpiling. The stuff we take out of the river over here is part of the, flood control. We got a lot of stuff from the bridge project down here, it was asphalt and good gravel, where they've taken up cement and other things, so it's all being crushed and so it can be used, throughout the town. So that's been going on for a few days. Briefly, we mentioned the McCallister Road, that's been tweaked a little bit. We've got, since the last meeting, we got the grant, so we're just waiting for that, and then we'll proceed with, tree removal up the side of the road there to, further improve the line of sight when stopping and coming onto the McCallister Road. So we did, I think Michael shared with us concern about speeding on Green Avenue in an email. So, unfortunately, as you're all aware, we don't have any control, like law enforcement capacity, to stop anybody
Speed bumps,
that's where I'm going. Shh, you're jumping ahead of me.
guns and use would kill me.
We don't have the capacity to do any law enforcement, pulling people over, citing people. However, we can pull, buy speed bumps and, try to deter speeding. I had Jason price them out for, they come in 8-foot sections, so you'd have to buy 3 sections, so it would work out to about $860, for a complete section across the road. They're movable, so I don't know if we wanna buy like 3 sets and, and put them in to address speeding as we see fit around town as a deterrent. At least we're doing some, making some proactive effort to tackle speeding. I don't know what the rest of the board. It'd be nice if we had a 24-hour presence of sheriff and they could, monitor speeding more. But short of that, I think this is something we can do as a community.
the last time they did speed bumps, somebody stole
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I thought if they got destroyed by a farmer because they were on the street going up to John Dro's.
Okay.
And on that,
them. Something happened to them, they got taken
Well,
out and.
I mean, that's official ones. Jason did suggest going low tech and doing like a 2x10 and bolting it to the road. I mean, it would still be a bump. I mean, it would slow you down. But I don't.
About wait, go out.
I know.
You guys
But I mean, I think if we're
stop.
gonna do it, you probably want something Department of Transportation approved.
Yes,
Versus something simple and cheap, that would cost us less than $100 to do, unfortunately. So I don't know, I mean, I guess it's up to the board. There's just, I know we've had lots of, in the last meeting, we had a different complaint about speeding.
Yep.
So this is, a potential proactive step for us to at least attempt to combat, speeding in certain areas of town. I did speak with Kylie, she, if we got 3 sets of them, she thought we could, work it out of the budget somewhere. town, the road, the highway department or somewhere.
I think we should go ahead with that. That's been a sore spot forever.
It helped deter some speeding.
Yeah, it'll help someone.
Question. At one time, the sheriff's department, a couple of years back, said that they had the signs that would, the speed signs, and that they were looking for places, offering them out to the towns. Is that something that
We could,
that the
We
sheriff
did
might
have
some?
one for a while
yeah,
last year. and it
we
was
could
done by
request, but then
Dave's Auto.
I've heard stories of people seeing how fast they can get it up to. So, it's both ways,
Right,
so.
right.
Us, it would remind us to slow down a little bit.
It
Some it would
seems when it was in Enosburg, when you were first coming in there, a lot of people, you saw their brakes come on when they got, because they were looking. But then again,
Yes.
you have those that say, okay, how fast can they go?
They challenge it, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I do.
And you can't challenge a speed bump.
You challenge
There's
it?
nobody
No,
out
no,
there.
no, that's not what I was getting at. I was gonna say, in passing, people have asked me about speed radars before, and I do have the company that Enosburg used to get theirs, which is solar powered,
Yeah.
and also solar powered crosswalk signs that light up. That's another one that
Yep.
people have asked. Or someone's
Nice,
asked for a
yeah.
light up crosswalk by Notch.
How costly are they?
I think the speed. I can't remember what the speed radar one, but the crosswalk I think was $6,000 or $7,000.
I think Greta said 10,000 when we were doing the scoping.
The speed one.
The crosswalk
Yeah.
was 10,000.
And that probably, I don't know if that included like installation of, it probably depends on what we need
Yeah.
to get installed as well. I don't know if that included that, but
Okay.
I do have that.
Is Jason gonna be able to plow over a speed bump?
no, we would take them out. They'd just be they'd be a,
Just bring some up, Bob.
April to November type thing. Pull them up.
They bolt right in, right?
Yeah.
I would make motion to do the speed bumps,
Okay.
the 3 sets.
With
So
the.
that way we can use them when we need them to deter speeders.
Okay.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
Oh, I had something else. Like I said, everything else I could do under, I do have personnel that vote for executive,
Okay.
but I think everything else I can, oh, I know what it was. It'll partly be under, we'll discuss it a little further under town business, but, the Masonic Hall, we're having a visit, the building, the Sugar Zone, with Franklin County Industrial Development, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But in my conversation with them, and at the suggestion of Andy, we asked about if they would mind us cutting the brush and stuff, the trees and the brush behind that building. As you know, there's lots of folks that like to hang out there undercover and drink alcohol and stuff. And the owner of the building was more than willing to allow that. So last week, the town, I asked the town crew to go back there with the hopes that it will deter some of the people hanging out there. Since it is a source of complaint for the town that we field. But I did get on the back end, almost immediately, I got a complaint from a resident saying, why are we cutting trees on private property? So just to know, just so the board knows what was done was, to try to address, is vagrancy the right word? A loitering problem behind that building. So that was something I had the town crew do last week.
Okay.
That's all I have for now.
Buildings report.
Not a lot going on right now. I'm trying to get hold of somebody to work on the pillars out front. And I think some of the boards do need to be replaced on the bottom. And then I have somebody supposed to be coming to do some work in the boiler room that needs to be brought up to fire code. Non-emergency, he said, because he knows it costs money. But it's still, I think that's the last thing on the fire marshal's list was that.
Okay.
And the eye washing station is being replaced, that was on the plumbing inspector's list for the state. And then, down to the fire station, the new valve has been ordered to be replaced by the door.
Okay.
cause he replaced one of them, the other one he kinda fixed, but it was old, so he's replacing it now. And I think that's about it at this point.
Okay. All right. Water and sewer. Going to my emails here. Well, kind of. I know Jeremy has been working, Kylie had a list of things to do, and he's been working on it. He sent out notices for meter replacements, he's done some of it, what he could do. Trying to close out my stuff here so I can get back to where it was. I don't know where it went. You had asked at one time for him to, and I don't know if we did address that or not, to go down and.
Underneath by the hockey stick back there. where-
Right, and according to what he told me, Slim was looking for a sewer line, not a water line, and he can't trace water lines, but he pointed them out to where the manhole cover was. So I guess they,
Yeah, and at this point, until and that's part of getting so at this point, until we, get the cost assessment that we discussed earlier, I don't think it matters
okay,
if we move forward with that proposal.
okay. I lost my place. Do you have anything, Alan? I know you've been having meetings, I haven't been around, so.
Yeah, we are progressing, but I'd really like to try to get that wrapped up if we could. I think we're at the, with the length of time, we're gonna have to post this before it goes into effect. It's not gonna be in effect, before the bills go out next time. But I would like to try to get that wrapped up so that we can get it in effect, because it's holding up a lot of things right now, trying to go to quarterly billing, we can't because our rules say we can only bill twice a year. And there's some other things in there that, needed updating that would really benefit us if we could get these things into effect.
Okay. The only other thing is, I briefly talked to you on about Dunlavey Avenue, having the fire hydrants out there with that fire not working, so.
Not tagged, don't work.
Yeah, well, they're not tagged, they're not working, we gotta figure out, I guess, whose they are and what we need to do with it.
I think it would be good if, I don't think the town should bear the cost of the materials or the labor, but I think it would be good to get them on our system.
Underneath the
Yep.
town of Richford, yeah.
Yep, if we could talk to the landowner maybe about paying for line that's up to state standards, hydrants that are up to state standards, maybe pay for the labor, then, their reward's gonna be they can wash their hands of it. They're done with the water, we'll take it from there.
And that's profitable because there's enough houses there to make it worthwhile.
There's 4 houses, but it wouldn't be a super long line. It's a fairly short street right there.
It is, and I was surprised they had 3 hydrants
Yeah.
down that,
Yeah,
which, it really, if you had one placed right in the center, it would cover both ends.
Unless
it's
you
not a
guys like
super
Sunday.
long street, and you're gonna get,
Okay.
3 or 4 houses there, so.
Okay.
The only cost, I think, would be the initial cost to dig it up, put the lines and stuff in, but if the landowner would be willing to work with us, it would benefit both the town and the landowner, I think.
Okay.
Eric has a
Are
question.
you on Dunlavey?
Dunlavey.
You charge them for water, right? Water runs through the same line.
I'm not sure on what was set up, I've heard things here and there, and that's what we were trying to,
I haven't heard nothing.
so. Do we charge the same amount to Dunlavey Avenue? Do we do the same for the Pinnacle Road?
Yeah, it's like which rate are you using, Pinnacle or?
Yeah, well, I'm just putting out,
Yeah,
Different,
that's
yeah.
basically it.
we do the same thing for the trailer park here in town? We
Yeah,
charge for
they
the
do.
water?
Well,
So,
the trailer park is mainly, they own their own stuff, so that's essentially,
okay,
You got 2 meters in pits.
yeah. But with them over there, they've all got individual meters now. So I'm thinking we could just put a, you know, if we put in the lines that are up to state standards, we could charge them the residential rates and meter individual homes and just do it like everybody else in town.
So how do you wanna go about, do you wanna have, somebody wanna reach out to the owner of the development, I guess, is it development we're talking about?
Yeah, guess we'd have to, cause I know the landowner put in the lines and we don't maintain them. But I guess we'd have to look at, would we be contacting the homeowners at this point, or
I don't know.
I think we'd have to maybe find that out first. Cause I'm sure they'd want the town to take it over.
Yeah.
Cause right now, if they had a leak, we wouldn't be the ones to fix it.
Right,
But not unless we got reimbursed by the homeowner.
right,
Um,
okay.
And I guess we'd have to look into who we would contact to take that over.
Who would we ask, I guess would be the first
Yeah,
question.
yeah. And I'm not sure if it's the person that sold the homes to these people, or if it would be the homeowners at this point.
What would it say in their deeds on the water?
I don't know.
That should cover that, right?
Might have to look at that and see what it says.
Okay.
I think we could, before we do anything, maybe do some research.
Yeah, that's the only thing I had was the hydrants left that was mentioned, so.
I can follow up.
Okay,
If you ask the owner or the owner's business office when that was put online, then you can go back to that time in our town or village meeting minutes and see what it says.
okay.
My understanding was the owner paid for the line and the municipality took it over.
So that wasn't my understanding, but.
Well, I guess that's where the research comes in.
Yeah.
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 Find out what the minutes say.
Alright, so that's all I have for water and sewer, same with you, Alan.
Yep.
Parks, playgrounds, cemeteries, Kristen's not here tonight, anyone know anything, Michael?
I don't know anything to do.
I don't know anything.
Other business?
So if we're planning a trash day for the fall, we did it like late September last year, right, Michael?
Yes.
I know in the spring after the last one, we discussed figuring out how to try to reach certain folks. And we talked maybe about doing like a postcard mailing. Is that something so everybody in town got it versus, those that are, just target the ones that are on Facebook and happen to see that the conveniently placed places in town. If they all got a little postcard, hey, we're having a trash day. I think Kylie said it wouldn't be that expensive. I don't know if that's something we want to explore or just continue as is.
I got so much good feedback about these trash pickups. I think anything
Yeah.
we can do to promote it. Yeah, if we can afford to send postcards, that'd be great.
Do you can you get with Kylie, like get the number of addresses and then talk to the post office folks about how much it would cost to do like a townwide
Yep.
mailing?
Yep.
Okay. And then we just need to pick a date too, we'll figure that out and then we can just, are you guys okay if Michael and I pick the date again and just move forward with it, organize it?
I'm good with that.
Okay. You wanna talk about the visit, Michael?
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, as I mentioned in the email, Wally and I met with Franklin County Industrial Development, Tim Smith, and Elizabeth Nance. We had a nice lunch, and we kind of went around Richford to talk about potential opportunities that there could be for them to help in Richford. One of the suggestions was to kind of go through a building that they were interested in, and how much do we want?
We walked them down Main Street showing them businesses or buildings that were vacant.
Mhm.
To include the Masonic Hall, what's the name of the building right now, Bullwright Block?
Yep.
Um,
Right, we went
the one
through,
across the street, yeah,
we walked up to St. Anne's.
yeah, so we showed them those, and the one that they really expressed interest in potentially tackling was the Masonic Hall. So as a little backstory, when they were here last fall for Connie Burns's bench ceremony, I kind of, hit up my Tim Smith about, the project, and, asked him when he's gonna do one in Richford type thing. And the reason I, kind of initiated this with Michael was because I know Tim said when that project in Enosburg was done, they would be more inclined to do it. So knowing that project was winding down in Enosburg, I asked Michael to reach out so we could start the ball rolling here in town. So they expressed interest in that. Like later that same day, they said they're going to be in Enosburg and they could come to Richford if we could get the owner of that building to show us. So I contacted the Sugar's, which is the same time I asked him about the brush in the back. So it's coming this Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 1:30. They're supposed to be here, and we're showing them the Masonic building. And
Nice.
they also, went and looked at the post office and the bank. And while we were discussing that, they, Tim mentioned what are we gonna do upstairs type thing, and said it's only one flight of stairs, so you wouldn't need an elevator.
Have a lift.
Not even if you wanted, so if we wanted to make it apartments, or something, and he said we could get an engineer to drop something, and maybe with some historic money, that could be. And I know I wouldn't, as a town, I wouldn't wanna do apartments, I wouldn't wanna be a landlord, but we've also talked in the past at board meetings about finding a buyer for this property, and if we had 2 businesses downstairs, post office and that, and 3 or 4 apartments upstairs, would it make it more enticing and take it off, and take our maintenance needs off that building? So I mean, that was just a brief discussion, very, very brief. But he said he thought he could have somebody come up and just look at it and quickly sketch out what he thought, what was doable up there. And then if we decided, if we were interested in moving forward, you'd have to obviously do something a lot more official.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's an interest in doing something like that.
We've actually had 2 people come to me now and ask what we were doing with the top up there, and asked if we would be interested in renting out office space for people who work from town or work in this, they can do everything on the computer, because that way they're out of the house, but they don't have to do the travel, they could do it 2-3 days a week, they could do this, they could do that, and stuff.
But yeah, I mean,
So that's also another thing that we could do
Yeah,
for
it
office
is.
spaces.
but we'd have to be, it's gonna need some level of renovation.
Oh, it needs quite a bit of revenue.
But I don't know, like, it's what we decide, like, how we wanna approach it. So I'm just bringing out what was discussed there.
Yeah. I'd like to be there when they do the tour of the building up there, if they wanted to go tour, or did they already?
No, we didn't. They just looked at the bank downstairs, and then they asked what we were doing upstairs, and
Okay.
so.
And then along those lines, we briefly discussed where by the bridge, the green space that People's Trust owns along with the park. They might be, there was talk of maybe them being interested in not wanting that little section, that green space section. And Tim told me that they would be willing to cover like a little overlook design from an architect if we were interested in, like, say if we wanted that little area, green space area, if People's Trust was willing to donate it to the town, then we would have that design for like a little overlook, similar to what Notch is doing across now with the torn down building.
Yes.
I just want to put out, that was also a part of that discussion.
That we had initially asked if they would be willing to, so, because
Yeah.
the main hang up, I think, for the Bullwright Block is, again, the parking. And they, if they want to do like mixed use or residential apartments or whatever, there's no parking, and they I think they had the discussion to see if we could use that space over there for parking, which would put it within the 600 feet in the bylaws, but People's is not interested in having it be parking or anything. They want it to be a green space.
But out behind where you guys just took down all the trees, if we took down that shed thing on the back side, we'd have parking there.
Yeah, that's what that's why they're more interested in that building.
Not
Because-
yet,
because there's
it's a
park-
separate building.
There's parking
Oh,
in
okay.
between, between Notch and there.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know this for sure, but that lower building that was, all I can remember as a kid is where you used to go see Santa in the back there.
Yep.
Yeah, that long flat section, I think that would all come down and that would be
Yeah.
parking. And it'd be just the core, what the original core building,
Yeah.
that would be,
The brick
what
part.
would be renovated.
Yeah.
So there'd be, probably parking, it's wide enough so you'd have parking the whole length of that, and then all the way to the river. And if you set it upright, you could probably approach parking from both sides, so you wouldn't have to lose any space at the end to drive around or anything.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just my theory on it. But that's why, and they like the fact that the roof on that building is solid, because it's standard seam.
Yep.
It just looks like it has better structural integrity.
And the amount of molding, beautiful molding, historical building, oh my god.
So anyway, so if
Go
anybody,
to the dentist there?
so that tomorrow at 1:30 they'll be here.
Perfect.
Okay,
I think that's it.
alright. Now, we were talking packs, air packs for the fire department, and, it was mentioned to go to the revolving fund loan in order to fund that, and that was denied.
Cause it wasn't building a business, and that's what that's meant for, is to bring new businesses to town. So,
So what I'm looking is, what kind of options, what kind of brainstorming we can do for something like this. This has gone on since I started as chief, and it's been in place for 5 years now. I would like to send people to the level 1 fire training school that's taking place in Sheldon this year, but we don't have the proper equipment even to qualify going there right now because of,
right, and you can talk about that, if you're using the equipment that's so outdated, just because of a fire gets hurt, that's a huge liability.
it is a liability. And I was basically told it would come down on my shoulders. At the time, I wasn't a select board member and the select
Yeah.
board itself.
Yeah. Yeah, because the liability, everything that goes in should be up to date,
So
so you should.
I know we have 25,000 extra in the budget for leased equipment.
Mm-hmm,
I'm thinking we could use something like that, and I think you all had a copy of the original quote
yeah, I don't
for 8
remember.
packs. I think it was like 67, 68, somewhere in there. And that's for 8 packs, bottles, and mask with an extra bottle for each pack.
Okay, I know Alan was talking about the budgeting, so we have the 25, so, and we couldn't get the loan for that. Is there another way to get a loan of something to get the rest of it and then pay it
We
back in the
just-
budget next year when it gets
I was
voted in?
gonna say, maybe we just go to a bank, get a bank loan and put it in the budget, pay it off next year, so we
Yeah.
don't.
Well, that would work, right? And then that way it goes into the budget, it's still coming out the way it should.
How many are we getting? 8?
8.
Do they need to be bought and packed? Can you do 4 and 4? I mean, like, would that allow some people would that be sufficient to get?
Get
Here.
4 this year, get 4 next year. I can,
I mean, is that a little more reasonable?
That would work, I
I mean,
my
that,
mind.
'cause that would mean you'd really only need to come up with what?
5 or 6.
Yeah, like 9, upwards of under $10,000 instead of.
We could do that, I think that would be okay.
Yeah,
so you're talking about, I'm thinking roughly 35,000 for 4 packs.
So you
Yeah.
have about,
we have 25, so we need another 10.
Okay.
If we
Maybe
can
we
pull that.
could talk to Hiram, we can find 10 somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where,
Because
but
right now, I mean, to get the packs here in time, it's gonna be, it's close, because it's 2 months.
so do we wanna make, if we're all on board, say buy 4 this year, budget for 4 next year?
Yeah.
We approve the ordering of them now, we'll either find the funding or
We'll have
Get
to
a
seek-
bank
check.
loan.
get a bank loan.
Okay.
I'd make a motion for that.
Or give Michael a second to write that, I guess.
I'm gonna abstain from this one just because of the fire
Yeah.
chief position.
So 4 this year.
And how long are these good for?
15 years.
4
So if you
next
put it in
year.
sometime, I really think, when I first came on here, you were talking about capital funds or whatever.
Well,
to
we
set
are,
up for buildings and set up for, we really should do that.
It takes,
Michael got some information for us on when we get ready to do the ballot for town meeting about setting up an equipment fund for the fire department. I think it was both to use unused expenditure money.
So that's the part I did not say to her, and now I guess that was the part that you were crucial, like really wanting to know. So I might have to follow up with that. I don't remember what, I think it was like, you vote on it once, you don't have to vote on it again. That was the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is, like you said, I did not ask that question because I didn't realize that's what the question, that's what you wanted as well. So I'd have to follow up on
Okay.
if there's additional money, can that be used to,
Okay, well, we got time, but
yeah.
yeah, if we could follow up on that so that we can get something on the ballot to set up an equipment fund for the fire department using their unused expense budget, and any unused expense money would go into that fund.
That would be
I would
great.
really like the same thing for buildings. There's always big stuff coming up. I mean, I probably could use
Yeah, I mean-
120,000 just some.
well, even if you're only putting like 7 or 8 into that fund,
it's
at least,
always-
but, you know, then if, you know, if you don't need it for 4 or 5 years, then you've got,
That makes a big difference.
then you got
Yes.
30,000 to, you would have been no discussion about this furnace.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, we all deal with budgets and you're allotted so much. Well, you know, yes, do we buy equipment that we think we need in advance just to spend down our budget? Or can we save it and put it towards something that, you know?
Right, exactly, and I really truly think we should do that.
Okay,
Okay.
well, thank you.
Like water and sewer already
Oh,
has
I
it,
gotta
right?
go through, it was approved, so,
Yep.
yeah,
Perfect.
lost my train of thought.
Right.
Okay. Any other business?
Just I had the executive session for personnel,
Is there gonna be a vote coming
No.
out of, so there's no need to?
just informative.
Informative, okay. All right, so looking for a motion to go into executive,
I'll make a motion.
second. Second, those in favor? All right.